Hello!
Hello there.
I'm Anthony Caulfield.
And I'm Nicola Caulfield. Over the last few years, we've worked on and then completed the From Bedrooms to Billions film trilogy, which is a series of documentary films focusing on aspects of video game history.
All of those film projects were successfully funded and successfully fulfilled on Kickstarter, and we're back as we want to ask you to help us make a brand new film all about the ZX Spectrum, which is soon to hit its 40th anniversary in 2022.
When Sir Clive Sinclair released the ZX Spectrum in April 1982, it was at a price that most people could afford. The release of the ZX Spectrum 40 years ago was a major moment in video game history, as the little rubber-keyed wonder offered people access to affordable home computing, something that was certainly not commonplace in the early 1980s.
They obviously were used for games, and the Spectrum helped kickstart an entire games industry as it opened the door for people to get a home computer, learn to program, and then write and release their very own games.
We want to make a film that celebrates all that was great, and still is, about the original ZX Spectrum, and focus on why we can now look back on 40 years of history with a greater understanding of how important it really was.
We want to focus on Sir Clive Sinclair, who so sadly recently passed away, and better understand his earlier achievements, his vision for home computing, and explore through new interviews with some of Sinclair's original design team and learn the progression through the earlier systems, such as the MK14, ZX80, ZX81, of how the ZX Spectrum was finally arrived at. We want to explore what happened at Sinclair after the Spectrum was released, the various clones that appeared, then the following Sinclair versions of the machine, before and then after the Sinclair takeover by Amstrad, and then come right up to date with the thinking behind the wonderful Spectrum next.
We're going to be hearing from some of the ZX Spectrum's great game designers and better understand what opportunities the ZX Spectrum and its many peripherals offered them in making so many wonderful games. And talking of games, which were the greatest games for the ZX Spectrum? Which games and developers inspired others? We want to find that out and much, much more.
We'll be covering the computer magazines that sprung up to support the Spectrum, which in turn helped build even more love for the machine. We also want the film to focus on the many fans themselves. What was it like back then to get your first ZX Spectrum? How did it happen? First impressions? And what games did you play and love?
This film will be bursting with nostalgia. We'll be scouring footage and photo archive houses for rare material, some of which won't have been seen for 40 years. There is so much to pack in, and we want to start making this film as soon as possible, so it's out before Christmas 2022 and available in the 40th anniversary year of the ZX Spectrum.
Over the years, we have collected hundreds of hours of interview footage with many game designers and hardware engineers, and some of this never before seen footage we intend to use for this film. However, we really need your support for the other elements of the film production that we need to fund, such as shooting new interviews, the licensing of third-party archive, music, sound mixing, colour grading, intro graphics. There's many other elements that we need your support to help make this a memorable film.
You can help us in many ways, whether that's just through buying a copy of the film, or looking at some of the wonderful perks on offer that might get that nostalgia gland pulsating. There are also some other options that will allow you to be in the film, whether that's through your name in the credits or a photograph of you with your beloved Spectrum.
Being a backer will not only mean that you can track our progress as we move through the production of this film, but also take part in live Q&A sessions with us, watch parties, and also take part in some of the capturing we're going to be doing the game footage for the film itself.
So thank you for watching, and we really hope you can join us on this journey as we make a film to show the world how a lot of our entertainment today is down to a rather special rubber-keyed wonder, the ZX Spectrum. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.